So what comes first, the alter ego or the superpower gang? Thoughts based on the book. People ask me, is it the alter ego? Is it the superpowers? It's both and neither. It doesn't matter. Some people know immediately who their alter ego is. If that's the case, then we work back to look at why someone chose that specific alter ego. So to tease apart all of the traits and deconstruct the alter ego's identity that you're now stepping into. Its behaviors and mannerisms, its skills and capabilities, and thoughts and emotions and beliefs and values about itself and the world. Other times we start by looking at the superpowers someone wants to call forth onto that field or in that moment of impact, like poise, confidence, and assertiveness. Then we'll search for someone or something that represents those traits, and then that can become the alter ego. Or it can be someone that doesn't represent them, but that you're emotionally super connected with, and that's the thing that carries those traits out there. Like there's no rules to this. It's what makes it so, fun and kind of such a powerful tool for people. I say, finding your heroic identity is like the center of town. There's many streets and avenues and ways to get there. Just like, tapping into the power of an alter ego, there's many ways to get there. Do you need to answer every question in the worksheets? Of course not. None of my clients would have probably ever done that, but they're just there as tools that you can use. Don't look at it as like, oh, I'm going to be perfect and I'm going to get gold stars if I answer all the questions. But if you answer all the questions, but you don't ever activate it, then there is no gold star. The gold star is only defined by you getting out there and making it happen. So every superpower has every superhero has superpowers that help them overcome whatever conflict exists in their worlds. Just as superheroes for their worlds, or just as superheroes only need and use those specific superpowers for their worlds, we only need to use specific superpowers as well for our roles that we play. So you select your alter ego, and which will be the one you need the most to ensure you show up as the heroic self, the best self on that field of play or during that moment of impact. So we want to identify those roles on that field of play possibly. So first thing we do is we start with adjectives. How do you want your alter ego to show up during your moment of impact? If you're unsure, try filling in the blank with this question. I wish I was. Now, what or who represents the adjectives you selected? Is there someone you associate confidence with? David could write out things like, I wish I was strong. I wish I was focused. I wish I was relentless. Or I wish I always thought about eating healthy foods, okay? Because that would allow him to eliminate one of the ways that the enemy of, being unhealthy pulls him in, or the enemy that represents unhealthiness pulls him in, whispers in his ear that, the Big Mac is the choice of the day today. So, when you think of someone who represents the as someone who's going to be strong and focused and relentless. So the second entry point for this is to start with someone, something, or an animal you already admire and ask yourself, well, why? Why is it about this person, or what is it about this person, animal, or thing that you admire? So what traits or superpowers do they possess? It could be a comic book hero, a historical figure, a literary character, a celebrity, athlete, reporter, writer, director, or politician, someone in your family, a mentor or a teacher, an animal, an object, or a machine. So in David's case, this would be an uncle of his who is a former Navy SEAL. Even though he's 60 years old, he still wakes up and works out for 2 hours every morning and is in better shape than most 20-year-old men. Now, I would talk to him about the 2 hours, because you don't need to work out for 2 hours, but that was David's case. Is there someone from your past whom you have like a strong connection with, or who feels like a kindred spirit to yours? It could be someone who is still alive, who inspires you. The great benefit of the sources we've just run through is because you had so much interaction with them, like, when it comes to like your family, because you have so much interaction with them, whether by or not just family, but everyone else, because like anytime you resonate with someone that you've read, watched, interacted with, you can easily adopt and create the same traits and qualities because you're so familiar with them. And like, how does the body act on things? Well, it needs emotion, because you can think of the idea, but if it can't get across the bridge of emotion onto the field of action, then nothing happens. So that's why the more connected that you are with this identity, this alter ego, this secret identity, the greater the likelihood is that how you want to be acting truly gets out there. Because this is what you're truly tapping into. You're tapping into those, emotional and thinking traits of that, other identity, which helps get now all of your abilities out there onto that field. So, all of this, we're trying to create like almost like an alter ego in a box, because the author, movie director, family history, or daily interactions have already created such a strong narrative in your mind. You're basically you're already latching onto something, as opposed to another way of doing it, which is, basically building like an alter ego from complete scratch, right? With no influence from ideas that you're already familiar with. And then of course, like the final alter ego that you can choose is one that's just already meaningful to you, and you build creatively. Creating your own takes more mental gymnastics, like I was just saying, and imagination, but it can also result in possibly a richer and deeper emotional connection. But it's not that it's better, because it's not. It's just it's another way. So here, and in the workbook we have it for you, there's traits and abilities, and you can use this list as a resource to help create your superpowers. Adventurous, adaptable, affable, fearless, intuitive, helpful, passionate, patient. Patient is one of the qualities and traits that I try to bring forth for that identity that I use as a parent, because anyone who's a parent knows that patience is a powerful way to prevent yourself from getting stressed out. So that's one thing. Now, are all of these, again, this isn't the exhaustive list. This is just some of the traits. Okay, and you can come up with your own as well. All right. So what traits or abilities do you want your alter ego to bring to the field of play? Again, what are the qualities that you admire about other people on your field of play? Possibly as another way to find it. The people exceptional on your field of play have what qualities? Do they sort of strike when the iron is hot? What is it? In this case, maybe the traits we want the alter ego to bring to the field of play are dedication, strength, focus, and willpower. And again, we've included more of a list inside of the workbook for everybody. Now it's time for you to define those superpowers, everybody. And again, I'm simply walking through right now at a rapid pace. It's not like you need to be filling out all these worksheets right now. This is just the actual training part, and you can come back to it. But it's the time for you to define what are those 5 to 10 superpowers and traits that define your new alter ego, or identify and answer the following those questions in your workbook, which are all right here. How you exhibit or demonstrate these qualities? What are the attitudes you have about yourself, business, that would cause you to be more powerful? Do you have what attitudes do you have about working out that would cause you to be so powerful? What attitudes do you have about, food that would cause you to eat healthy? What attitudes do you have about other people that would cause you to network with more enthusiasm? Do you have an example of someone who already you perceive to be powerful in this example? How do they act, speak, or think? How do they show up? And then step into your alter ego and answer those questions as your alter ego, possibly. Just another angle, another third person way, okay, to make that happen. And then fundamentally, at the end of this, now we've defined the super that we're bringing to that specific role, that specific field of play to help create, extraordinary results. Now, as I move forward here. There we go. Again, another check-in with everybody. Michael says, these are great questions, but hard for me to answer. I guess that is the point. Are there examples just to get an idea in the direction that I should go? How do you mean examples? Examples of, different superpowers? What is the role or field of play that you're sort of that you're going after for this specific identity? So business. Okay. So again, if you go back to those ways that you're showing up currently in the ordinary world. So what is it about the current way that you show up that really, what's the opposite of that trait? So if right now you're showing up with a trait of being, indecisive, or you're showing up as a trait with a trait of, worrying about or, concerned with what other people think of you, then one of the traits that you want to be bringing to it, or one of the superpowers, is just the superpower of like massive conviction, and just, or it could be this massive, take action attitude. Or so if it's closing the sale, then it's showing up with extraordinary confidence, because that was my issue. So I know that well, Michael, because, I got fired from 3 different sales jobs early in my life. One manager even said I was the most disappointing salesperson he'd ever worked with. So, but fast forward, and what happened in 2010? 2010, I was awarded with the world's greatest salesperson award in Cannes, France, at the International Advertising Festival, where all the biggest advertisers in the world go to. It's the big awards thing. And because I'd won this kind of contest for the search for the world's greatest salesperson. Now, was that great salesperson already inside of me? 100%. It was just hiding under a whole litany of different beliefs and attitudes that were stopping me from getting out there. Concerned with what other people were thinking about me, only wanting people to like me. And if that's the case, because if that's how you currently think, if you're always worried about what other people are going to do, or if they like you or not, and making them, then you don't want to make them uncomfortable, because a lot of people who, have this fear of sales are like, well, I don't really want to make people uncomfortable, because if how you make someone uncomfortable is you have to get them to make a decision. And, so if they're uncomfortable, I don't want that. Plus, I want if I want everyone to like me, then, I would never want to hear a no from someone, because if I hear a no, then that means that they don't like me. No, that's not true. That is not true. They just might not like the current offer you're putting in front of them. They might like you, they just don't like that offer. And leaving people in indecision is actually worse than getting to make a decision, because indecision is purgatory. It's worse than hell. Get them to say yes and get them to say no. Allow them to move on with their life. And then it's, even if they say no, they're just saying no to the last way or they're saying no to the current paradigm of understanding that they think about my offer. Well, I'm going to continue to find more ways so they're truly clear about what this can do for them, because anyone that is currently having this particular issue, if they truly understood the value that's waiting on the other side, there would be no way they would say no to that. So, and I'm unpacking that for them. So I'm going to continue to ask them questions, or say like, so, so are you ready to move forward so are you ready to move forward today? Well, I'm not sure. It sounds like you've got some uncertainty. What can I help to answer so that I can get you more clarity? Because I want you to get to the point of clarity so that you say no with conviction, so that you absolutely know that it's an easy no, or it's an absolute yes. Because the worst thing is to leave you still needing to solve this and then having to go through this process again with someone else. Okay. So, that whole, I don't know if that helped you, Michael. Okay, great. All right. Yeah. If you want, Thomas says, yeah, if you want to see my pitch, don't do it right now, but you can just go to YouTube and you can just type in Todd Herman red brick and you'll see me. The challenge was for this search for the world's greatest salesperson was you had to do a video of how you would sell a red brick in 2 minutes or less. And, there was, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of entrants from all around the world. And pretty much everybody used it as an object kind of in its current form. So they would say you could use it as a way to, grill chicken better, or you can put it into the back of your toilet tank so that you use less water. Whereas I took the brick and I used it as a metaphor for something that was far grander. So I said, since the times of the ancient Sumerians, the brick has been used to build civilizations. It was used to help build roads, to help connect us all, and create homes that were no longer vulnerable to the whims of nature. But at the end of the day, all of those great innovations started in the mind of one person. And just like them, you might have a goal, a dream, or something that you want to take action on that you haven't taken action on. But if you buy this red brick, it will be a sign to not only yourself, but the world around you that you've laid your first red brick, that you've taken and you've created a life of decisive action. And whether you see it on your bedside table, the library shelf, or your desk, it will be a daily reminder that you're someone who takes action. And just like them, you may end up building a civilization that transforms humanity, or creating innovations that end up whatever. And then I tied in, because the hurricane had just hit Haiti, so I tied in a donation side of it. And to this day, I still get people who buy red bricks from me.